Hello, everybody. So again, I'm Asari. I am a developer here at ThoughtWorks, and I've been at ThoughtWorks for a little over a year and a half. I moved here from ThoughtWorks Chicago in November last year, so I'm still pretty new to Manchester, liking it so far, except the rain. Anyway, so we're going to be talking about Git today. I titled this Git What because I used Git for several years, but I never understood what I was doing. And anytime anybody said Git something, I'd be like, what? Git what? And I'm hoping that by the end of this talk, you're not going to say Git what, but then you say Git add, Git pull rebase, Git something. I hope you learn at least something. And what I really want you to get is to understand the basics of how Git works, because it's okay knowing commands, but once you understand the basics, it's easy to build on. Once you understand how Git works fundamentally, it's easy to build on that and learn all the fancy commands. So yeah, and feel free to stop me anytime to ask me questions. I'm going to talk for a couple minutes and then we will have a hands-on session. Yes? Okay. So a version control system records changes to a set of files over a period of time so that you can later recall a specific version. Git is a version control system. So version control systems allow you to revert files to previous states, compare changes over time, find out who changed what, when, all of that. And so Git allows you to do that too. Before I move on, I want to ask, how many of you use Git every day? Okay. Then how many of you have never used Git before? Okay, and how many of you use it occasionally? All right. All right. So with Git, almost all operations are local. Now I'm saying almost all because whenever you want to share your files with your friends or your coworkers, then you have to go across the wire. But if you want to save, if you want to check, go back to your previous version, if you want to check what happened 2 weeks ago, you don't need to go over the internet to do that. You could do everything locally. With Git, you hardly hear the word save. What save in Git world is commit. So to Git, a commit is a reference to a snapshot of how your files look like when the commit is made. So say you have files A, B, C, and then you decide to save the state of your files at the time. What Git does is to check some of those files to preserve the integrity of the data, and then creates a snapshot of those files, and then creates a commit, which is a hash that refers to that snapshot. All clear so far? Yes. So Git always thinks of data as a stream of snapshots. Usually, other version control systems think of data as changes over time. So for example, you had file A, you made some changes. Oh, there are seats in the back here.
Sorry.
It's fine. Yeah, so with other version control systems, they record the changes made to files. But with Git, it just records how the files look like, the entire file system at the time that you make the commit. So that's one fundamental difference between Git and other version control systems that make it really powerful. And we'll talk about this, why it's so powerful later. Yeah, so I mentioned that it maintains integrity because it takes a checksum of the data. And so things can hardly change without Git noticing that there's been a change in your commit. This is how your Git project looks like. There are 3 main sections. There is a working directory, there's a staging area, and there's a Git repository. So your working directory is that folder on your computer where you make changes. Your staging area is where you say, okay, these are the files I want you to take a snapshot of. And your Git repository is the Git database. So it stores all your commits, all the snapshots, and every information related to your project. So this is how a basic workflow looks like. You work in your working directory, you make changes, and then you stage it. You tell Git, I want you to take a snapshot of this next. And then when you commit, it's saved in the repository. And files in Git have 3 main stages, and there's this 4th stage. So untracked means that no version of that file exists in the Git database. This database over here. So when you create a new file, it's going to be untracked. Modified means that you've changed the file. Git has seen the file before in the previous commit. You've made some changes, but you haven't committed it yet. Staged means that you've made changes and you've told Git that I want you to put this file in the next commit. Committed means that the file is stored in your database. All good? Yes. All right, so I'm going to take you through a very simple workflow. You modify your files in your working directory, you stage your files, you commit. Sounds simple, right? Yes? Any questions so far? Okay, good. So I asked before you came here that everybody have a GitHub account and have Git installed on their computers. Has everybody set that up? Anybody not set that up that needs help? Okay. Well, in ThoughtWorks, we do lots of pairing. We believe 2 minds are better than 1. So if you don't have a computer here, you can share with your friend or make a new friend and share. Anybody needs help setting up Git on their computer or a GitHub account? Lot where can I help you? Yeah. Somebody needs help. Girl. On the other side. Yeah. With the wine glass. HP level.
Because I was.
It makes you feel better. I read like 11
SSH.
Maybe not set that up. Maybe not set that up.
I have set that up.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's what it's like.
Right, okay. It is a bit of a nightmare.
Leave all that data.
So you can use the console.
Is it started?
Did not realize that.
I remember how to set that up. But then
You can use that.
it's not twisted.
Another way.
Okay, so can you all see this here? This URL? If you can you please go to that URL? GitHub.com, Amasari, Git Basics.
So is there Wi-Fi here?
There is Wi-Fi, and the password I will show you in a second. TW guest.
That one up there.
Yes.
No, I can't quite. Can I see the URL?
All right, the URL is github.com/AMASARE/git-basics.
We're just trying to get the Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Oh, the one.
Right. This is the Wi-Fi password on the screen. Are you all okay with the Wi-Fi password? Do you want me to show you the GitHub URL? Here.
Oh, okay, no problem.
Anybody need help with anything?
But you saw it.
Sharpies here.
Do you want to focus on your
Uh,
there? How are you now? And share your screen on the.
Yes. Yeah.
But you haven't
Let me check.
I don't think you want.
Well, normally it's been like, wouldn't I? Because every other time I come, you know, before 6:30 even, but I was like, when I come before 6:30, it's been too early. Everybody stood around quite a long time. But I was trying to set up the SSA
I was doing that.
before I came, yeah.
What do you
But I
want?
forgot about it until I was ready to leave early. And then
Okay, so guys, to recap what I said, Git is a version control system. It tracks changes to your content over time. A commit in Git is a reference to a snapshot of how your files look like at the time you make the commit. You have 3 areas you're going to be working with. You have your working directory, which is where your files are. You have your station area, sometimes called the index, which is where you tell Git to take a snapshot of next time you make a commit. And then you have your Git repository, which is where all the database information is stored. Moving on from there, I'm going to take you through an everyday Git workflow. It's really simple. And I hope you all get it. If you have any questions, please ask me. I took most of the stuff that I'm going to talk about today from this book. And I recommend that you read it if you need more explanations. It's really, really good, and I love reading it. And also, if you need help and you don't want to go over the internet because you're using Git, you can type in your terminal man git, and it gives you useful Git commands. You can type git help, or you can type man git, and then a git ver, for example, git add, and it'll tell you what it does, the options that you can use. So yeah, if you need help, ask me. If you need help today, you can ask me or Laura or Tanvi. If you need help tomorrow, you can go there. All right, so if this is your first time setting up Git on your computer, you'd want to configure your username and your email. Whenever you make a commit, this information is needed for the commit. And this is how you do this. You go to your Git repository or any directory on your computer. You don't need to go to Git repository. And type git config, global username, and then your name. I put Rusty Taco here because it's the name of my favorite taco place in Dallas. I love tacos. And your email. All right. Next, I want you to make a copy of my repository. So what you're going to do first is to fork this. If you made a GitHub account, over here, you'd see this fork button. You can click on it, and then it makes, what fork does is to make a copy of this repository, your own version. So any changes that you make will not affect my version over here. So please make a fork of this and don't push to my repository. Yes.
I'm not terribly familiar with the command line.
All right.
So the bit about putting the
Config?
this.
Yes.
How
All right. So open your terminal, and then you type that. So you type here.
oh right, just that. Oh right.
Yeah. And then config. That's just yeah. And then user the name. What? Yeah. Yeah. Everything is on the
Thanks.
yeah.
Is that what this one is?
No, the fork is just click on this. So don't clone it. Here's how it works. Okay. So I want you all to fork a copy of this repository before you do anything else. I'm sorry, what?
The username is common.
Yeah.
It's my email.
So if I want to,
No, just any email.
yeah, so you can.
It doesn't have to be the Git account. That email is going to go in the commit information.
So is that put that in mind?
So it doesn't have to be the GitHub
You
email.
have opted, yeah.
Oh,
So now it's on your user account.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but your email.
So if you actually go to your command, terminal again. Just do
Question?
just do a git status.
Yes, it's encodes that information in your commit.
So it just says
Yeah. So whenever you look at your commit, you see your username or the username of whoever, the name, not username, of whoever made the commit and email. Yeah. So these commands,
Yeah.
these ones, you can put them from anywhere in your terminal.
Yeah, I think she's gonna tell you the next time, just wait for it.
Okay. Just don't want you to jump ahead.
Yeah. And then you type it there. And then you use it in your email. Has everybody been able to fork this repository? Okay, I'll give you a couple more minutes. If you need help, just raise your hands and
Yeah,
I'll come
just-
to you, or Tambula will come to you. Any help?
Well, we're supposed to do anything other than.
Yeah, I'll give you the next.
Okay, yeah,
Yes,
okay.
thanks.
Just, well, I'll have a snack then.
Okay, yeah.
You have to type in your email address.
Yes.
You do?
Yeah.
No, so, but I am a very but my understanding is this is supposed to work, right? You want to get a copy from it. So we call it for
Yeah, you do.
I like a copy. You cannot modify her
Okay.
repository, but you can modify yours. And later on, you can say, hey, I want to use something that I was working on. So now, this is what we're doing. But basically,
Yeah,
this
so if you
is
go to the page start, you finish it, and I set up your that's the page.
Yeah, doing stuff.
Absolutely messing around.
Everyone seems so busy, that's why I asked if I was doing anything else.
I use it. No, I use it quite a lot, but it's a bit at a time or one time. So I have a feeling I've got a lot of gaps in my knowledge, and I think starting at the beginning is a really good way of like filling those in.
Yeah, likewise.
So basically,
Except
let's
I
say,
haven't ever, well, we've got.
All right. So if you've been able to set your,
The GUI as well.
first of all, if you've been able to fork the repository, you shouldn't see my name here. It should be your username. Does everybody have that?
No, we got permission now. Please call the
Okay. Laura, are you looking at that? All right. While they're working on that, if you, so I was saying that if you sparked it, you'd be able to see your username here in Git Basics. If you were able to set your username, if you type git config user.name, you should see your name. And if you type git config user.email, you should see your email.
Whenever something goes wrong.
So git config is a config file for your Git information, and user.name is a key, and this is the value for that key. So if you wanted to find out whatever the value for any key you have in your config is, just type git config and then the key name, and it'll give you the value. And this is my email. So make sure you all have that set running. Are you able to see okay from here?
This is my first Mac, so when I started a new job, they're like, right, here's your Mac. So that's it. But that was
How you doing?
The next thing I want you to do is to make a clone of your project. So you do git clone. When you go here, you'd see SSH clone URL in your repository, in your GitHub repository. And you can copy this over here, like this, and then go to your terminal and type git clone and the address. So you go to GitHub, and then you copy the SSH address over here. You click on that copy button, and it copies it for you. And you go to your terminal, and then type git clone space that.
Do that in a workspace that you.
I'm sorry, what?
Tell them to do it in a workspace that they want to clone it into.
Right. So clone it into. You can clone it to any direction on your computer, really. Any directory that you want. Don't clone it into some unknown repository you can find later.
Oh, that's what I've just done.
I need something.
To search for it, couldn't I?
Yeah, but
You should
be able to open your terminal.
All right.
Wait.
Everybody able to clone
It's in
question?
your home directory, I think.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
Is that what I meant to say?
Yeah, you just like.
No, I'm fine. No, it's just that.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
I was just giving.
I think there's a.
If I wanted to move that, I can't just drag that somewhere else.
No, it should. I think there's a way to do it within Git.
I'll ask her.
I mean, you can't even remove Git repository and then, Basically, you should tell your command that once you put everything on the disk, then your local is like it's just your copies, and if you want to get everything, you can always delete it. Redo what you just did and just load again. Yeah. There is like, I mean, she's telling you all the clone commands and all the commands within. That's a good thing. Because it's mainly in, it's like outside. There's things like, some of the basic things are there.
I'm shooting the normal kit.
Yeah, you can take it to get that really rich.
Yeah.
And you can always find commands there.
In Word, it's
Don't get
separate.
Yeah,
the branch.
and you can actually do things.
Oh, yeah,
So
that's right,
they're
okay.
Does it?
It's quite good to have Sorcery. I used to use Sorcery too in Serial. But the thing is like, sometimes you can end up with things and you can end up making your whole
Yeah, so you don't want that line today, you don't want that line today, you don't want to try and split up into as many small units as possible.
Yeah, but it's
You do that with.
Yeah.
We told
When you're
them,
making commits,
we told that place like,
doing stuff again, because with
we told them to try and keep our commits as small as possible. So like if we'll do like half an hour's work and then open it in that, it's nice to open it up and go, I'll just commit the bits from 10 minutes ago, and then commit the things that I found out later.
What that does is like it adds
If you forget to commit,
the changes, your changes, it strips your changes off, it takes what you are pulling, and then adds your changes right at the top. So you don't see those branches which you usually do in Sorcery. Even in Sorcery, actually, there's a way to do it. You can just say free base and merge. So that's really helpful. What merge does is like treats your branches separate and then merges it like that. It's not a great thing to do that. It's actually your commands and type keeps the branch all really nice.
Something I'm working on at the moment is like a method of brand.
Oh yeah, you should be a little bit careful because what happens when you revert back to any change, then it becomes quite a nice because when you go back, you also lost the
and
change.
once you commit to that branch, it's got a continuous branch, so that picks that up,
Yeah,
files the branch, runs all the tests, and then
so just use
comments
it
on the
the whole minus base. Yeah.
no, when you finish with it, you should send it to GitHub, and you make a pull request. It picks up on the pull request,
So
downloads
it's
that,
always
and then it comments. Really nice. Yeah, you can actually say it as well.
But I mean, you should know that
We do that.
there's not a check to not
You're right.
you're not committed, but you don't always need to do that. You should know that free base just means that it adds your commit to the commit, covers commits that it's pulling.
That's what we have to do.
So we've got the next one.
I'll explain that. Okay. So guys, if you've done a Git clone repository successfully, I'll explain to you what all that means in a second. Just trying to get everybody to the same page. Yeah.
Very.
Well, you just switch back to method.
I'm really sorry. So also, if you're having a problem with SSH, guys, if you're having a problem with SSH, you can use HTTPS protocol. So the same place where you see SSH, if you look around the box, you see HTTPS. Copy the HTTPS address instead, and try to do a git clone of that URL and see if that works for you. I'll explain to you what we did means in a second.
I know you can change history.
Yeah.
But this is nice.
I've been dying. It's they're intelligent. It's been looking on that for about 6 months. It's yeah, it's another JetBrains project, but it reads iOS.
Okay, so moving on. What we just did, git clone, I'll explain to you what it did. So git clone will first create a git basics directory. In that directory, you're in over here. I'm in a ladies who code directory. So if I do git clone here, you see cloning into git basics. So it creates this directory and then initializes a git repository inside this directory here. After it initializes that git repository, it pulls down all the data from the git repository here in GitHub. So what you just did was to take a copy of all the data that was here and put them in your Git database on your computer. Then what this also does is to check out a working copy of this project. And now we can start working with Git. So if you can move into the Git basics directory, cd git basics should take you into your newly created repository. So can we all do that?
Git basics is with a hyphen. You can always do ls to see your.
Is everybody in their Git basics projects now? So any questions? Yes. You are listening. Thanks.
Even if you type G, it will give you the rest of it with examples. So yeah. It's just press enter. So now you're in the directory. All right. You're all good there. Yeah.
We're going to be making some changes to this directory. I want you to create, we're going to play some files. We're going to create files, change them, commit them, and have fun. First, I want you to type this command here, git status. Can you see the dot? Should I make the screen bigger? Yes? Okay. All right, so I first want you to type git status. I will do it on my computer here. You can see what I'm doing.
Cool.
What do you see on your repository? Do you see this here? Git status, branch master. Anybody know what it means? Don't all answer at once. Right, thanks. So Git status tells you what stage your project is in. I mentioned earlier that there were 4 different stages your files could be in: untracked, modified, staged, and committed. Here, it's saying that you're on branch master. So branch master is not a special branch. It is the default branch that is created when you first initialize a Git repository. So you see a lot of people have master in your project because nobody bothers to change the initial branch, and it's fine. It says your branch is up to date with origin master. Again, origin is not a special name. Origin is just an alias for the URL for your project here on the GitHub server. Master is the name of the remote branch. So when I say remote, I'm talking about your remote repository on GitHub. Master is the name of your remote branch that your remote project is on. And it says nothing to commit, working directory clean, because we haven't made any changes here. So next, you can type, sometimes this is a lot of text, what I just showed you. It's a lot of text, and sometimes you don't want to see all that. You can type git status --s, which means short. Sorry, -s or --short. And it'll just give you a short version of what I just told you before. Everybody see that? Good. All right. Yes. So type is command get status dash s or get status dash dash short. Can you all see the shorter version of get status? All right. So there's a file in Nursery Rhymes folder called donkey.txt. I want you to modify that file. You can put anything you want in there, but I want the file to be changed. So over here in the Git, in your working directory, I have README, I have color, and I have Nursery Rhymes. I want you to go to Nursery Rhymes. You see donkey.txt. I want you to change it. I'm using Vim over here, but you don't have to use Vim. You can use any text editor that you want. All right, all I just need is that you change the file. And then I want you to create 3 new files. Play area 1, play area 2, and play area 3. All text files. And I want you to do get status and see what you see now after making those changes. I'll make them over here too.
How do you, is it 2 or 3?
Okay, to edit in Vim, you type I. I allows you to start type. I means I is for insert, and it allows you to start to type in your file.
Right.
And then when you're done,
Yeah.
you press escape, colon, and then W for write, which is save, and then Q for quit, which exits Vim and takes you back to your directory. Questions? No. What do you see when you do a get status now?
If you want to write in quick, so you do your escape, that, and I want your, then you can do W, or you can do Q and back, which means quit without saving.
Right, okay.
So if you want to go back now,
I can't remember what we're doing. I've created 3 files and then what?
And then do a get status.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I've done that. Put something else. I was, I missed something.
See people typing, you're like,
Yeah. Escape and start that mode. So then you don't need to go, you need.
Everybody all good with that?
You need.
So when you do a get status, when you do a get status, you see that there's a modified file, and if you created a new file, so you see untracked files. Everybody able to see that? And so Git tells you what to do if you want to move your files from modified to staged. It tells you to do a git add to update what will be committed, and git checkout -- file name to discard changes in the working directory. So it's quite helpful here. It tells you what to do in simple scenarios. If you do a git diff -- staged, it will show you the changes that you've made that have been staged if you staged your files. So right now, what I want you to get familiar with is the different states that your files can have in Git and how to change those files and change their states. To change the state of this file, for example, donkey.txt, you do git add donkey.txt. So what git add does is to add your specified file to your staging area or your index. And it marks it as ready for commit. Has everybody been able to add their files?
No,
No.
it says fatal.
Fatal. Wow. All right, Lara's got this.
didn't manage to see you.
So am I gonna have to say
I think you're not in the correct path, but yeah, you need to be in the.
I think even if you go off your ad, where it's got, you've got git add, you actually get dot, so it'll add all the files.
You can add all the files, or if you want to do a particular one, actually saying like text, then you have to put the entire part. Right. So what was it that it
Because when
you don't have to click add, and you
Very
can go
pedantic,
to
but
text.
yeah.
So it's like, well, I wanted to start typing all those.
Sorry, question?
Yeah, she's in that direction.
right, okay. So after you've added it all,
But yeah, as you were saying, you can add all.
it's now in stage, yeah?
Yes.
So now how do
You
you?
usually do it.
I'm sorry, what?
How do you then get it?
I'll show you that in a second. Yeah.
Oh, you know your stuff.
Did you have to set that manually? Like when you get it normally, it doesn't tell you which directory you're in.
Probably says like.
Yeah, it drove me nuts at first.
Oh, right. Yeah, I probably did it.
So just so you know, hi guys,
Yeah,
everybody, please listen. So just so you know, if you don't want to type all the files one by one, you can do a git add dot. What git add dot does is to add all the files and directories from your present working directory. If you do a git add star, it will just add files. It will not add directories. Right now we're working only files, so it doesn't really matter. You can do add star or add dot. But usually people just add git add dot to add everything that they've changed to your station area from your working directory.
So your branch is ahead by one. You want to commit? Okay, go ahead. Okay. She's probably she's gonna tell you next.
All right, so after you've added all your files, I want you to move them from the staging area to your Git database and create a commit out of the files you changed. So what you do is to type git commit -m and a short message describing what you did.
She did that, right? So make money now.
Well, and after you commit, you can check your Git status. It will tell you the status of your files.
I've never used it to anyone.
So after you make a commit, it tells you that, and you type a git status. So I have here an alias for git status, git st. I'll explain to you later how to make these aliases, and I'll also show you really useful aliases to make. It still tells you that you're on branch master, and your branch is ahead of origin master by 1 commit. If we have time, which I doubt we will, I'll explain to you how branches work and how they are really powerful because of the way Git views data. I can see you have a question. No? Okay. All right. So it tells you that you're ahead of master by 1 commit. So your commit was successful, and it's ahead of what's currently in your remote repository. And then it tells you that use git push to publish your local commit. So it's always really helpful, giving you really useful little suggestions. Is everybody all good with this stage now? All right. So let's say, first of all, I want a couple people to read me their commit messages. To look at your commit, type git log. So it's like this. Oh. Git log. It will just show me what you did. So you can see your name, you can see your email, you can see the commit hash, which is the pointer to the snapshot of your files, and then you can see the commit message. Make changes for a lazy code session. Can somebody read me their git commit message?
I can't see mine.
You can't?
Yours is this one updated.
Oh, right.
It's just, yeah.
This is not the.
It's like a
Anybody want to read their commit message to me? First commit, yay. All right. Any other messages?
First commit.
First commit, great. So I'm going to talk briefly about something which I'm really passionate about. And Pablo is shaking his head because I'm on the same team with him, and I gave a speech about commit messages to our team some time ago. So commit messages are a great way for people to see what you've done without actually looking at the changes you made. And so they should be really useful, really informative, and should establish context. Now, if you want to see what you've changed, it's easy to go to your diff. I'll show you later how to do that. But then it's easy to see the files you've changed and also the content you've changed. But then it's difficult to understand why you made those changes. Like a month from now, if you go back and be like, why did I first commit? What does that mean? What did I do? I don't know anything. First commit is a good message for your first commit, but not for your second. So here are some useful tips for commit messages. Oh, this is huge. All right. So for commit messages to be understandable and to transfer context, there are two parts of a commit message. You have a subject line, and then you have a summary. So it's recommended that your subject line is 50 characters. And it's recommended to keep that amount so that you're mindful of how many words you use to describe what you did. Instead of describing, lengthy paragraph with everything that you changed, just tell what you did and why you did what you did. And if it's really important, you can say the how. But the subject should really be brief, like an email subject, like inquiring about this. And then in your email, you put the actual content of your message. So your subject line should be about 50 characters long. And capitalize your subject line. It's just more professional. To differentiate between the subject and the summary, there's always a blank line. So you have your subject, 50 characters, blank line, and then your summary. Your subject is recommended to be in the imperative mood because this is how Git makes commit subjects. So for example, if you merge, I don't want to talk about this because I'm not talking about this yet. But for now, just take it like this, that you should use an imperative tense. It makes your subjects shorter, and it allows you to make messages the way Git makes messages. You should also wrap your body at 72 characters. 72 characters keeps everything nice and succinct, short, easy to read. And use the body to explain what and why versus how. If we want to see how you did what you did, we can always go to the diff. But then if you want to know why, you want to understand 30 days later what you did, we need to know the what and we need to know the why. So yes, you can look at all these later. Since you have your own local copies of this repository, you can look at all this later. All right, so I talked about git log to view your changes. There are lots of useful commands here. Git log is really useful for debugging. You can do a git log -p and you see a pretty log. You can do a git log --stat --graph --one line, all different options. You can do git log --since 2 weeks ago, or 1 minute ago, or 1 year ago to see changes that were made in some specified period of time. So these are all useful for debugging later when you want to look at your commits. So you can go ahead and play with some of the git log options and tell me what you find out. Or if you have any questions, just let me know. I'll just give you a minute for that.
Oh, yes. I think the graph thing would be like.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll show you that.
I was just about to try that one out. No, it's not. I think
It's got the little.
yeah, I saw some of
but
it, but it's got the
there's no
whole,
branches.
it's got a lot of stuff, I think.
Oh, you need log. Oh, yeah.
I was just trying to remember.
That's one line.
Oh, right, okay.
Or was that the whole module?
So I started working on this about a month ago. So if you type git log dash dash since equals 1 month ago, you should see some commits from 1 month ago, hopefully.
What was the most one line?
I
Yeah.
can't type anything in, so I'll take Q. Yes.
Oh.
So that exits you out of the log. Sorry, I should mention that.
Yeah, draws your.
It's great. It's a good log that really shows you what you changed. So you can see that. There's red here. I'm not sure why that's red, but do you add a new line?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what you did. So
And
it
then
shows you what you did.
these commands, so you
Right.
automatically.
And if you do a git log that's just one line, it just shows you one line with the subject. So you type Q again to exit. So when you type that, it takes you to your editor, which is the
Different minus one.
like the way to get out, type Q to get out.
So you
So you can do git log that's just one line. See, I'm using donkey.
This is like
I'm doing the files. These are things I made.
Oh, right, yeah, because so it's the newest is at the top.
Yes.
yeah, it's not jargon. So you can do git log minus P or you can do.
Yeah, you can do, but.
The D you can do.
This as a repository, so there's a way to do it, it's probably a little bit you can't just cut and paste it. You have to, you just.
Is everybody understanding everything so far? Yes? All right. So over here, I did a git log minus P. It showed me a lot of information. But what I'd like to point out here is that you can see a minus and a plus. The minus refers to what you took out, and plus refers to what you added. So I took out a blank line, and I added change. And there's lots of other information, not important for you right now. It's important later. So that's it for git log. Now, say you made some changes and you commented them, and then later you realized that you had to add one more file, or you had to make one more change. There's a useful command called git commit amend that will change your previous commit. So say I made you change donkey.txt, I made you add play area 1, 2, 3 text and commit them. So say you wanted to change donkey.txt again, modify donkey.txt right now and stage it. And to stage it, you do a git add. If you do a git status, what you see? Git add stop. Space after the dot. So dot adds all the files. Alright, so you can just give out
So you can just change it with your.
so you can see that's modified, which means it's ready to be staged. Ready to be committed. Alright, so we don't want to create a new commit for this newly modified file. We want to add it to our previous commit. Type git commit amend, and it will help you do just that.
if you make changes to your file now again, and you stage them.
So this is just changing the message, right? This isn't changing
that
the
means
commit.
It is not changing the commit. It's adding a new file to your commit.
Adding a new file.
Yes.
Does that make sense? So you add something to.
You would create a new commit, but this is an imaginary scenario where you want it to be in your previous commit.
Okay.
You can get out of here by pressing colon. Escape.
Has everybody been able to add this file to their previous commit? If you do a git log, or no, if you do a git status, you should see just one commit, not two. Because so far you've just made one commit. Is everybody able to see one commit? Yes, good job.
So by
By doing git add, you're adding it to your staging area, saying that it's ready for commit.
So we should have committed by now?
Yes.
Yes, but I want you to add to your previous commit. And so how you do that is do a git amend. If you do a git commit, you'll create a new one. But I want to show you just how to modify it.
Okay, I have to commit it.
Okay,
Should I do that? And then, so just
sorry, yeah. So git, let me see, do a git status.
And W here, which is right and wait.
Alright, so you have one commit already, and you haven't changed anything yet.
I just.
So now you put these to edit.
Alright, so now we're going to get
Yeah, I think
that.
get rid of this one.
Yeah, that's fine. You can do a git log situation. Yes, you change this.
So,
I think you added that.
Did you make any extras?
Just like to explain what it was. I just realized. Did you do inserts like?
I changed it between.
So the problem with Bing is like you do Bing, you are in interactive mode. So usually you have to press I. I don't know for Bing answer as well. So maybe we'll start like that.
Yeah.
It's either that or the X. I never use the X.
Okay, alright. Okay, moving on. Say you added a file to your staging area, and then you later realized that you didn't want to add that file to your staging area. How do you take it off your staging area so they can only commit files you want to commit? You use this command over here. So say you modified another file, any file you want. It's player 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. Modify and stage. Do a git add.
This one is linked to your GitHub account. So if you push anything, those changes go to your GitHub. The code that you made for Git Basics before basics.
So after you stage your newly modified file, you can type a git reset head donkey text. So what it does is to remove your file from the staging area and put it back to your working directory.
Sorry, did you say that again? What does that?
Okay, so git resets your file back to some previous state. It takes it from the staging area and puts it in your working directory. So it becomes modified, but it's not staged. So before, when you did a git add and you did a git status, you see that it's staged. When you do a git reset, you see that it's not staged anymore. Sorry.
And now you don't want to create a new commit. So you do git commit to it will create a new one, right? Cells that we want to modify the previous one. To do that, there is a
Press
special
Q so that I can get back to
that's yeah, that's that command.
Right.
This will give them
Yeah, so I think I'm also.
we can space up
So maybe you missed the first step.
and that's
So focus when you want
see,
to
I think you do
make
minus
changes
size.
in your repository, you want to focus on your.
So I usually use minus size.
You want to see this is
Usually
this is
when
what
there is only one
so
dash,
a lot of
it's
times
the
when
average
you
EXP.
skills code, you might say I'm gonna
And then you use that dash.
contribute to this project, so I'm gonna pull this from my learning and make some changes.
Yeah, so usually all the command
But
line
in this
programs.
project, she was asking you to focus, so you.
One dash is the short dash.
Suppose you basically your names
But you know,
first
I'm going to apply that.
your
Yeah, I hope, yeah.
and that's your repository.
Yeah, I think yes, it does. It's telling you.
What, for the
you
text
want
editor,
to
your
modify
this
the meta.
Local.
Is that?
So you see, this is your previous page. So we will not create any override. You can think of like override the experience coming So if you want to choose the next, this is
No, it doesn't show. It only shows the century after. Anything before it comes in, it's just plain files.
So it shows that.
Right. So it's this tells you the currency on the file. So
That problem that was happening.
the only find
So then I need to restore it.
So I staged one up. So now I'm going to look at
So, how can was it? No, it's a question. Okay. I think it's the best of my now you will see. Did you see you did
Is that all the way?
So dash.
Okay, so guys, I'd like to say that everybody listening? Yes, good. It's okay wherever you are. I will talk more about stuff later. I'll come back to you if you have any questions. I want to move on so that you get the most out of the time. I'd like to say that with Git, once you've made a commit, no matter what happens, if you delete files, if you do anything, you can recover your previous state back. But then when files are just modified, when they're in the staging area, or when they're just in your working directory, and there's no commit, if you delete those files, you're gone forever. So be careful about removing files when they're not committed. This command over here, git checkout -- donkey.txt, should put back in your repository an earlier version of this file from your remote repository. And so you should be careful when using this, because if you don't want that file to be gone, the changes that you've made to that file to be gone, you wouldn't want to type this. As soon as you type this, all the changes you've made are gone. And if you haven't committed those changes, then that's it forever. Yeah, so if you want to share your files, your repository with others, you made some changes, you've made some commits, you do a git push. Git push is going to push your commits and all the information associated with them to your remote repository. Please, 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 if you clone my repository, don't push to my repository. If you made a fork of your repository, you can push to that. If you do a git remote -a, sorry, -v, you can see your remote URL. So it shouldn't be my name there, it should be your username. So just check that before you make a push to make sure that you're not pushing to my repository. I don't want you to push my repository because if there's more than one person, there'll be lots of changes and then merge conflicts later. So verify that this is yours and then do a git push. Get remote -v shows your remote server URL. Question?
Yeah, just quick. So the git reset head, does that just on the stage? It doesn't pull an old off?
No, it does not. So that's safe. But git checkout is not. Unless you're absolutely sure you want to clear.
Yeah.
Wait, what are we doing by pushing again?
So when you push it, you move the file and you move everything that you've committed and all the changes, all the things you have in your Git repository that are different from what's in the remote. And then you sync the content from your local to the remote.
Can you give the command on if somebody has managed to change your if they're not pushed it, they've used your repository still.
Oh,
Can you just give the command?
do they have a fork of?
No, they managed to just clone yours.
Oh, because they can change the remote URL, but then it has to be a URL that exists.
Exactly, yeah. So if and I will get checkout and remove all the changes onto the repository. Get it to first base repository and then you need to
No,
remove this one. because
It's fine. You can do git for you can fork my repository and then she has her own, and then you change the remote
Just
URL.
clone yours for now.
Okay. Then don't push. You can make any changes, just don't push.
Yeah, I think, what's the way to get out of this? Can you not delete it?
The changes that she's made, check out.
Get checkout. It says, your version has master by one.
Yeah, so-
Use git push to push.
Yeah, because you cannot.
Oh, so then they get reset head tilde one. So it's just, yeah. So that moves the head pointer back to the previous version
Yeah.
and then uses the commit.
You always going into a state,
All
right?
right.
Commit to a link and then staging.
So when you do a git push, again, when you do a git push, all the changes, all the commits, not the files in your working or staging area, just the files that you've committed, push your remote repository. And there, if you're sharing the repository with other people, they can do a git pull rebase and see the changes you've made. So git push pushes your file out to the remote repository, and git pull rebase pulls in the new changes that have been made onto your local repository. So this is how to use Git to communicate with others working on your repository. Well, to share, not communicate. Yeah, so you can do a git pull rebase now, but I doubt you get anything because if it's just your repository, nobody has made any changes to it. So just useful to know this command for now. Git has a tag in. capability to mark. So it gets to a point where you want to mark your changes as important. For example, your first release. You want to tag all the files up to that version as, you want to tag that point in history, as release 1. You do a git tag, release 1. And when you do a git status, tell me what you see. I've never used a git tag before in my projects, any of my projects so far, but it might be useful to somebody to know.
Never used it?
I've never used it.
We tag branches when they go live.
Oh, do you? Okay. So yeah. Some people do. We don't.
So you know
What point?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. We use a really simple workflow here. We all work on master, just pull rebase all the time.
Yes, but when you deploy it to live,
We
you
also
must be able
do,
to wind back to that if
if anything happens.
some disaster happens with your next deployment.
You are still on board, as long as you don't push it.
Sorry, after you put the tag on, what's the next command that we put?
I'm sorry. Git status. But git status does nothing for you in this scenario. I just want you to see that it does nothing for you. To see the point at which you tagged it, you can do git show your tag name, release 1, or whatever name that you assigned it. So it just shows you.
Yeah.
It shows you the commit at which you made, at which you tagged, and then that commit can lead you to other commits before that. Just really sorry to go. Thank you so much. It's really helpful. And whenever you do a git push, your tagging information does not go with that. To push your tag, you have to push this way. And this is the command you use when you are pushing a branch also. So in this scenario, your tag behaves like a branch. So you do a git push origin, where origin is your remote repository URL, and release 1 is your tag. And so then that also tags your repository remotely.
I've read that Git can be used offline when you're not connected to a network.
Yes.
So in that scenario, should you hold off from doing pushes, or will you?
Yes, if you don't have internet, push is not going to work. But you can still make commits, and then when you have internet, you push all your commits to the internet, or then you pull changes from the internet. You can do everything else that does not require sharing with Git, except share.
Sure.
Yes. So for example, this will not work,
I mean, I know
but all this will work. All right, so tagging is just useful information, useful things to know. It's nothing too difficult to do. Aliases, they are really useful, and they make you more efficient and faster. It just saves you a few keystrokes. So for example, to check out, I have an alias CO. And so next time when I want to do a git checkout, I type git CO instead of git checkout. And this is how you configure aliases. So you do git config, which sets this key in your git config file, which I'll show you in a second. Global means that this applies for all your Git projects, not just the current one you're on. If you don't want it for all your Git projects, take away the global flag. So it'll just be git config alias dot, your alias name and the git command name. So the next time you want to do a checkout, you can do a git co and your branch name, and then, or what a file you want to check out, and then that will work for you. So everybody try to do a git co alias to create a co alias. I'll show you my git config file and all the aliases I have. You can see here I have a git status, I have a git checkout, I have a git branch, git pull rebase, git LOL, which gives me a pretty version of logs. and git and stage. And stage is when you want to remove a file from your staging area back to your working directory. And I have git last, which shows the last thing that was committed. All really nice, useful aliases, which I have here. Has anybody been able to set an alias and use it successfully? Need help with anything? Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
Right, so this is my.
I was just give a chance. See.
yeah. Oh, I something I really
Jane.
Right.
Yeah. Exchange server and all.
If I
Same thing with simulator. As in flux.
Yeah. All right, guys, happy with your useful aliases that saved you so much time. All right.
Yeah.
Any questions so far? All right, so yeah.
Yeah, I just said mine.
Okay, so it's 8 o'clock now, and this session is supposed to be from 6 to 8. I had one more section on branches I wanted to show you. If you have any questions about branches, you can ask me. I will explain to you. And I put my random favorite command at the bottom here. Can anybody guess what these commands do? Not Paulo. Well, what do you think git blame does?
Okay.
Hello, people.
We're all just really excited.
Yeah, so it's 8 o'clock, and my battery's almost dead. But yes, I just had a little section on branches which I can explain to you. You can come to me and talk to me about it, and I'll explain to you. I just wanted to find out if you knew what these do, or if you had any idea. Git blame, what do you think it does?
Finds who did what.
Yes, it finds who did what. Like Pablo's being really bad. You can say git blame. Let me show you. So you can see I changed all these files. So if there's any point in time you want to see who changed what to understand why, you can do a git blame file name, and then you can find out who and talk to them. It's not to accuse your friends of being bad people. Git bisect, what do you think it does?
I know this one.
Tell me.
It allows you to narrow down where a problem started.
Right. So I was going to show you this really useful command for this file here. So sometimes you make changes to your files, and inadvertently you change some other files, and then you move on several commits later, and you don't know what happened. You don't know when that file was changed. You don't know. You can't see in the logs any useful information. This is why git bisect can help you. So what git bisect does is to do a binary search. Anybody familiar with the binary search? Or nobody familiar with the binary search? Okay, I'll just show you a quick illustration. Where's the Sharpie? Is that my fucking Sharpie? Okay. So say at this point, everything was good. At this point, everything was bad. The malicious Taylor Swift minion introduced the Taylor Swift lyric into your file. Let's say this part is where that change was introduced. So what git bisect does is to do a binary search. You tell it, you give it the commit hash of a good commit where that change wasn't. You give a commit hash of a bad commit where that change was, and then this is what it does at first. So it divides this into two, and then tells you that this is the middle commit, and then you can check to see if that change is there. So if that change is there at this point of the commit, you mark it as bad. And so then git bisect narrows it down to this area. So there are X number of commits here. So you tell them that this is a good point, this is a bad point. It does a bisect again, gives you, let's say this part over here, gives you this commit. You check it out, you see that it's still bad, you mark it as bad. Bisects again, this is not really even bisect, but kind of get the idea. You bisect it again, you see that this was bad because the evil minion is still here. Bad. You bisect again, it gives you this commit over here. This is good. Right now, there are only two commits here between this and this. If you mark this as good, then the only bad commit will be this one. So you'll be able to identify at which commit you introduced a bug or virus or Taylor Swift. Git log -s find in the log when this word was introduced shows you when a word was introduced in the log. So these three are really useful for debugging to find out if there's a problem, when it occurred, and if there's anybody you can talk to, or maybe how to change it. Git stash is also really useful to stash your changes. What does stash mean? The regular English. Right. Right. So there's a stash stack somewhere in the Git repository. Whenever you type git stash, all your files that you're currently playing with go onto that stack, and then you have a clean working directory. So if you do a git status, you not see modified, you not see in stage, you not see in tracked, you see nothing. So this is useful when, for example, you're working between branches and you make some changes in one branch. Then you want to say at some point in time you want to move to the other branch, but you don't want to lose the changes that you've made on the new branch. Well, the branch that you're working on. You do a git stash, move on to the other branch, make some changes, go back to your previous branch, and you do a git stash pop, and it gives you back all your changes. So these are some of the commands I use. This randomly, I use this the most, git stash, and might be useful to you. Thank you. If you have any questions about branches, please come talk to me, or any other questions. All right, and if you have any feedback from me, please let me know how to make this better for the next people who listen. All right, thanks.
If you take nothing else, that is so handy. Oh my god.
It's when you're working on something, and somebody says, "Can you just do it?"
Yeah, exactly. That.
And it's really quick to do it.
Or you've been working on the branch, and then you just commit that you're on the wrong branch. You just go git stash, change the branch, git stash pop, and you're right. You're done.
I didn't know it.
Yeah, if you change branch to another branch that has got similar changes. You can also
Yes,
Well, there's a fun button.